Hello and welcome to the F1 Esports Pro Series 2020 presented by Aramco. You join us on day 2 where things are getting very exciting, making sure that we're all on schedule and up to speed. Natalie Pinkham, day 2 is going to be just as good as day 1.
Absolutely, because we saw plenty of wheel-to-wheel action, and now we head to the tricky, demanding circuit of Shanghai. That long straight tempts plenty of racers into lunges at the hairpin, so expect plenty of drama.
Oh, yes, indeed. And we've got the trophies here that someone will be winning in a few weeks' time. However, over in this area of the studio, we have the analysis area where we're joined by Nick Hamilton. So, pro driver and also a sim racing enthusiast. What is there to love about the Chinese Grand Prix?
Shanghai has everything you need. High speed, medium speed, slow speed corners, and don't forget that long back straight, so plenty of opportunity for overtaking.
Okay, then there's going to be some spicy action. Spicy commentary is going to be coming by the dream team they call Alex Jakes and Matt Gallagher. Qualifying was exciting. How about that main race?
Oh, it's going to be an absolute thriller. So many people enjoy this race, especially this man. It's his favourite circuit of the year.
It is. I absolutely love the Shanghai International Circuit. Really excited to see how the racing unfolds tonight.
Okay, so if that hasn't excited you, then I know for a fact that this will.
Across the line to seal the team's championship for Red Bull. The 2019 title for David Tunitsa.
Yo, this year is so global. Who cares if they don't know you? Everybody's here, tensions in the air. It's been a crazy year, it's getting crazy, yeah. Pro Series is a big stage. Switch lanes like I'm insane. Real stunts and real flames. Cut corners, still shift late. Third gear, that's a quick break. You're so lost, I win races. Blurred lines, I'm still chasing. No flags, I'll keep pacing. Stop it, no behave. It's a big boy thing, so be brave. In the lines, then who's the big main? Trim hairs, then I switch lanes. Big move, no clip gain. That's a Batmobile, but I'm still weighing. That's a Batmobile, but I'm ERS for the wind. Race I kissed my last time. ERS can take the win. No reruns, no halftime. In a slipstream, I'll pass 5. Bag of tricks in my archive. They're soft on the track, I'm the hard drive. I can see it clear in your glass eye. We've been lucky with this virus. Tried us, but multiplied us. Sending love to anyone that had to battle with this crisis. In the meantime, all you drivers, drive good, don't sidestep. The winner waits like the tide does. Who will be the champ? Only time tells. If Tunisia had you on the rocks, big names and underdogs. Brendan Lee, he's still on job. But listen here, I'm often shocked. The kid no one was watching always finds a way to come on top.
And we're racing in Bahrain. There's a brave one round the outside. Lovely work from David Tunitsa. Oh, he's hit him.
I can't be this unlucky, man.
Great performance from Rasmussen.
Great race. Bellissimo, mamma mia.
How about that? What a classy way to kick off the show. Cambu is definitely someone going places. Make sure you check him out. What did you like about that video? It sort of encapsulated everything, didn't it?
Really did, ramping up the drama for this evening. It's interesting because he picked out the protagonist there, but it's worth remembering there are 9 rookies this year, and there's such a depth of talent, including Michael Romanidis.
Yes.
Did I say it right?
Yeah.
And the youngest ever, even younger than Max Verstappen when he started out his F1 career. So, you know, anyone could upset this party.
Indeed, Alvaro Caraton said records are there to be broken, and they have been. So listen, see what happens with those guys. So hopefully you've got a flavour of what the Pro Series is about. Here is a little bit more detail on how this year is going to work. For the 2020 edition of F1 Esports Pro Series, 10 F1 teams and their drivers will again compete for the ultimate prize. The season begins with the Pro Draft, where each team selects at least one new driver to join their 2020 roster, followed by the Pro Series, which runs from October to December. Teams will compete in 12 rounds, spread across 4 live events hosted from the Gfinity Esports Arena in London. Each event features 2 live shows, with drivers and teams competing remotely for safety due to COVID-19. Every round takes place on a different F1 track and consists of practice, qualifying and a race. Teams must put forward 2 drivers from their 3-man roster to compete in each round. These races are 35% distance of a traditional F1 event. Unless wet or intermediate tyres are used, drivers are required to make 1 pit stop so that they race on 2 different tyre compounds. To ensure the competitors are judged purely on racing ability, all the cars in the Pro Series are set to equal performance, and there is no mechanical advantage for any one team. The point system is the same as in traditional F1, with the top 10 finishers from each round gaining points for themselves and their team, and the driver with the fastest race lap awarded a further 1 point. At the end of the season, the driver with the most points will be crowned F1 Esports Pro Series Driver Champion, and the team with the most points will receive the Pro Series team title along with a share of $750,000. There you go then, that's everything you need to know. Glad to have you on board with us. So Natalie, this is your first season in the Pro Series. Yeah. Great to have you on board. What did you take from 2 rounds that we had yesterday?
Well, so much drama, hugely competitive, seriously impressive between the drivers. What, 3/100ths of a second separating 7 drivers in quali. So this is seriously competitive stuff. What interests me as well is that there is no mechanical advantages. Unlike Formula One, there's a level playing field. And I love that because it's all about the talent. I think some of the F1 drivers would secretly be a little bit jealous of that because we're always talking about put them in the same machine, see who comes out on top. And that's exactly what we do in the Pro Series.
We did indeed, because obviously we had George Russell in the virtual Grand Prix and he was delivering and getting some wins as well. Did you notice the consistency that each driver was bringing? They're aliens. There's no room for error at all.
It's amazing when I learned that they're spending 8 hours a day just perfecting their craft. They're fully committed to this. And we were talking about the Red Bull drivers actually going out to the Red Bull Athlete Centre, high performance facility, where they were learning about nutrition, about physiotherapy, about the psychology behind the sport. So they are giving it their all, and this makes the series so competitive.
Time will tell if that has paid off. Now, listen, we aren't allowed fans in the studio this season, but we would still love to hear from you. Get over to Twitter and give us your comments and questions using the hashtag F1 Esports, and we'll do our best to get through as many as we can by the end of the show tonight. We also have our live race from Shanghai later, but let's get everyone up to speed with what happened yesterday, beginning with Bahrain. In the Pro Series, we're used to having all of the drivers racing side by side here at the Gfinity Arena, but teams have to compete remotely this year. We'll be joining the Renault Vitality for the first race of the season and saw what it's like for the racers. We're going to look at qualifying from today in Bahrain.
Stay calm, stay confident, make sure to have a clear track ahead of you. Careful on the last attempt to not be too far and not be screwed with the time left, because I'm expecting most people to try to, be as late as possible.
This is the man, Nicolas Longuet, going P1 and doing a fantastic job to start the race for the first season, and yeah, done a really good job, really happy for him. He's just trying to prove himself. He's not really thinking about anything else. He just wants those pole positions, and as I said, did a really good job, and I'm sure he's very happy.
My last corner was beautiful. What was my last sector was so good. 7-7. Yeah, whatever. Well, I just paid half my iPhone. Nice one, mate. I kind of want to start mediums.
Don't on mediums. We don't have the second car to protect you. You're on pole, so start on mediums. Bahrain for sure is starting on soft formula as well. 100%. Yeah.
And I just need to try to get a good start and hold them up for even one lap. If I hold them, that's 2 seconds gain for me.
We've got 3, 4, 5 red lights in Bahrain, and the new season is underway with a good getaway for Nicolas Longuet, who moves off the line well to cover off Danny Beresnay, who's got a good getaway. Johnny Tormler in 3rd position as they all go through what is always a precarious opening lap of the race here, and it's proved that way. They've managed to all get through, but Danny Beresnay lining up Longuet really nicely in the Renault. He's having to cover him off. That's a late lunge. What a bold move to start the season for Danny Beresnay, but even better for Johnny Tormler, who finds a way by Matt Gallagher.
There's split strategies at the moment in play. I think Kiefer's on the medium tyres, so struggling a little bit, and so is Longuet in the start of this first lap. But here we go, Danny Beresnay closing in on Johnny Tormler. These two very much just checked out. We have got a 2-horse race for the victory here, Alex, around Bahrain.
Certainly appears that way at the moment. DRS now for Danny Berezne, trying to add another victory to his serious tally. He's got the DRS, he's got the momentum, and now he's got the race lead. Danny Berezne finds his way through past Johnny Tormala, whose advantage had been 7/10 of a second, but he's been reeled in these last couple of laps. And look at the driver who is always the hardest breaker out there due to his unusual style, but he's got the move done. Let's have a little look at what happened at the start of the race. This is our reigning champion, David Tunitsa, forced off the road and a damage to his front wing as we go back to the live battle. So that's what happened to the reigning champion. This is the battle for P2. And finally, Nicolas Longuet has found a way through. He's passed Marcel Kiefer, and he really needed that if he was going to be in contention today, because look at the time he has lost whilst all of that is going on. Danny Berezne, 4.5 seconds down the road. At least Nicolas Longuet has recovered another place, though. The pole sitter now recovering from that difficult opening lap of the race and up to P2. Marcel Kiefer once again closing in, but not able, the German driver, to make his way through at the time being. Longuet, who passed Kiefer a few laps ago, does not have the pace on this tyre at all. And the train is closing in, and one of them is going ahead. Marcel Kiefer gets ahead into the race lead for the time being, and now it's going to be oh so close between the two of them as they sweep round into the right-hander, and it is Marcel Kiefer who's got that position.
Great move from Kiefer. They sold you the dummy, didn't they, down the straight, Alex? I thought they were pitting as well. I was thinking that's a very early pit stop. But yeah, Kiefer taking the provisional lead at the moment. It won't be after they stop. I'm very intrigued. Oh, big look up into turn 10. One of the most horrendous corners in sim racing to try and get your braking right into there. But it looks like Longuet just struggling a little bit on these mediums now. Kiefer didn't look like he wanted to come past, but Longuet, with a little mistake, just pretty much allowed that to happen.
Here's Longuet trying to make a move on Caraton. The Williams driver has no defence, and Longuet's got that done nice and early. You can see the difference between the tyre life, and that is going to, those now on the soft rubber know that they've got a compound advantage, and they've got a tyre life advantage as well.
Rasmussen and Kiefer aren't going to fight each other. They're just going to help each other all the way. Using the DRS as Brendan Lee now trying to get past James Baldwin, who pitted earlier on that medium strategy. So he's going to be struggling with the soft tyre runners around him.
And it's a simple pass for Brendan Lee. The two-time champion finds his way past on the softer compounded tyre and makes his way up the hill, now in 8th position. Half a second between Berezne and Tormala, but now look at that gap again. Jarno Opmeer has got that gap down every single lap that he has run on those soft tyres. It is now 2.4 seconds. Lock up and not particularly helpful for Johnny Tormala, who for so long would have been dreaming of that first ever win in the F1 Esports Pro Series, and instead now he's defending for third because Jarno Opmeer is pulling out of the wheel tracks alongside and going ahead under braking. That's one of them cleared. Jarno Opmeer just has his teammate ahead, and if he can get past him, he's going to win the opening race of the year. He's got DRS, he's got one car up to second place. Can he shape for the lead? It's always more pressure when it's your teammate. Fresh, soft rubber up against the old mediums right now. Opmeer in the box seat, but can he pull off the move to take the win here? Got a 5-time race winner directly ahead, and these two are about to duel for the lead. Oh, he's got so much momentum now. Jarno Opmeer is going past. He's sailing past his teammate and through into the race lead. He's called the strategy perfectly right now as Kiefer makes a move in the background to take P3. So Kiefer could be a threat. Will Berezne be able to fight back? I very much doubt it. Jarno Opmeer in a brilliant position to win the opening race of the year. As he lines up the victory, it's not by a huge margin, but it's by enough. For just the second time in the F1 Esports Pro Series, it's Jarno Opmeer who gets to the flag first. Jarno Opmeer wins the opening race of the year.
Executed perfectly, guys.
Outstanding stuff, boys. Awesome. Masterclass.
Awesome stuff, guys.
Sit down, Team Red.
Okay, before I go.
If I didn't get held up, man, that was a joke. That was a good 2 seconds. Just sitting there. I can't believe the Arno won. Of course the Arno won like this.
Team should be P3 in the championship because Alpha won 2, Red Bull 2 and 6, and then there is only 1 car per team in the points.
There's the results right now, 1/10 of a second. But what a dream start for Alfa Romeo. I mean, they were quite disappointed last year after not having a bit of luck go their way, but we knew they were quick. We knew Otmar and Berezne would be a big, big team, and they proved it here.
Keith in third, and then Tourmiller, Longuet, Rasmussen, Lee, Moreno, Carreton, and Lucas Blakely, the last of the point scorers. You can see those who just missed out, including Bono Huis, who had a good run through from the back of the field, James Baldwin, then Benito, Salton, and then Bian Collier, who was involved in that clash with Tanitsa, Tomei, Haddad, Weigang, Donoso, and David Tanitsa, the reigning champion, off to the worst possible start, you have to say.
What a great way to start the F1 Esports Series 2020. Listen, I want to know, Nick, what did you make of that first race?
What a fantastic first race we had at Bahrain. It did not disappoint us. Let's have a look at the fantastic strategies played out by some of the teams, starting off with Red Bull. This is on board with Marcel Kiefer, hunting down his teammate Fredrik Rasmussen, and yeah, getting a great slipstream, really close and good on the brakes. He gets a really good exit here, and looks like he's got a much better exit, and it is now on the DRS. And this is a key moment. This is like the battle for the team. Who can be the best driver in the team for Red Bull? And that would be great for him. Now this is now riding on board with Joni Tourmiller, getting overtaken by Jarno Otmar, who's now got the perfect opportunity to control the race with his teammate Danny Berezne, which is now the perfect sort of strategy for the Alfa Romeo team. And you can see this is a swap for position. Actually looks like Berezne has let Jarno Otmar go there, which is really good because they're thinking about the team points and team strategy. So yeah, what a great result for the Alfa Romeo team. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you very much, Nick. Brilliant stuff there, and just seeing how dominant the Alfa Romeo team are being. Jarno Otmar and Danny Berezne. Will that continue? Well, you'll find out after we have a break, and when we come back, we'll bring you the highlights of the Vietnam Grand Prix before live racing from Shanghai. See you in a minute. welcome back. The F2, the F1 Esports Pro Series presented by Aramco, where Jarno Opmeer is the early championship leader, coming through from 5th on the grid to pick up the victory. Now, our second race, Natalie, that took place for the first time ever on the Hanoi circuit of Vietnam. What makes that track so exciting of the action that we saw? And I don't want to give too much away.
Well, when Hanoi was announced as being on the F1 calendar, everyone was buzzing because it's such a cool part of the world to go to. It was going to be a really cool street circuit. Of course, it got cancelled in April, which was devastating for everybody, but a sign of things to come for the rest of the calendar. That doesn't detract from the fact that this is a great circuit. Herman Tilke designed. It is a lovely hybrid of public roads and man-made sections. I suppose most like somewhere like Baku, that's a circuit we all love, always delivers loads of drama. So a street circuit, you know, they have to get their elbows out and fight hard and avoid the walls.
Yes, that's what Alex Albon said in a kind of drive-through. He said, just avoid the walls.
Avoid the walls.
Yeah, it can be dicey. I don't want to give too much away from what happened, but let's look back at what happened at the inaugural Vietnam Grand Prix.
As we have 5 red lights on in Hanoi, we are underway for the second race of the year. Opmeer away from pole, Tanitsa trying to close him down as we head to turn number 1, and it is David Tanitsa, last year's champion, who gets into the lead. He makes his way through this sweeping start to the lap with Opmeer, then Longuet, Benito, Brendan Lee fighting his way up to 5th. It's very tight on the exit there. Rasmussen having to get out of it. That could leave him very vulnerable indeed, because there's debris all over the road there as they make their way down to the first of 2 very long straights indeed. The straight wasn't long enough for Jarno Opmeer to try and reclaim the lead. Tanitsa, after that disappointment in Bahrain, doing what he needed to and claiming P1.
Yeah, lots of aggressive strategies. I think a lot of the front runners are on the soft compounder tyres. It seems as though Freddie Rasmussen is the first of the medium runners. We are now down this incredibly long straight. Surely Opmeer's going to have a great chance on Tanitsa.
He's going to try and go to the inside line right about now. Will that work for him? Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. There's the breaking point, and squeezing him to the apex is Tanitsa, who doesn't want to give that one up, and with a move like that, he won't have to. But there's another long straight coming his way. Look at the effect that you've got, and now you get in to essentially what is Maggots and Beckett's over and over and over again. It gets tighter and tighter as they build up speed. No margin for error, and definitely no way through.
Brendan Lee on Enzo Benito.
Now, he's going for that late move to the inside. It's something that Tanitsa was able to repel. Can the other Ferrari do that? It seems if you just kick your foot at around there, no, that's a nicer move from Brendan Lee. He knew what was coming, squeezes his rival and takes 4th position with a move that gets him into play for the race at the front of the field.
Don't want any measured approaches here for the spectacle. We want dive bombs, we want overtakes. Tanitsa, all kinds of out of shape into that right-left. And another quick word on Bono Huis. He would be a man on a mission right now if he could sort out his qualifying. I think, if my memory serves correct, he started P15, running in 8th at the moment. So his race pace is there, just needs to sort out qualifying.
Opmeer getting a brilliant run here. Tanitsa's going to have to pick a side. He might not be able to defend. Jarno Opmeer, winner of the first race of the year, takes the lead of the second. Easy move for him as he gets to the hairpin first, and he will now try and build a gap. What a start to the campaign for Jarno Opmeer, and he is pulling clear now of last year's champion. David Tanitsa's out-braking Jarno Opmeer. David Tanitsa's retaking the lead, and he is, oh, it's going to get worse for Opmeer, because to the inside and up to second place goes Nicolas Longuet. Longuet now looking to try and take P1, but Opmeer, he broke clear, wasn't by enough, and 2 get past him as we see another change of lead.
If these guys start battling, Fabrizio Donoso is going to be rubbing his hands. He's only a couple of seconds behind these guys, as I imagine they'll be diving into the pits. There goes Nicolas Longuet and Tanitsa, most of them coming into the pits now.
And we are waiting to see the pit stops from Huis, from Kiefer, from Tormela, from Bian Collier, from Romanidas, Caraton, Weigang, and then we get to the teammate of this man, which is David Tanitsa, Nicolas Longuet, he will feel that he was wrongly robbed of pole position. Usually, if a driver feels that way, it ends in two ways. Brilliant battle back to the head of the field, or he rips a wing or a wheel off. What's it going to be? Right now, it's a super move from Nicolas Longuet to take Tanitsa, and when the others ahead come into the pits, that could well be for the race lead.
Wonderfully measured on the brakes. Such a hard braking zone after 1.5 kilometres straight, and Nicolas Longuet judges it perfectly.
Yeah, copy. The name of the game right now is to wait for whatever happens at the end, because it will get wild, I guess.
Yeah, well, I have to get past the nose, so I just, but
It's hard to wear down at the end as well.
So Jarno Opmeer, biding his time, believes it is going to kick off at the end
That's
of
one
the
way to
race.
put it.
And, well, you can see why, because despite all the efforts from Nicolas Longuet, who at one point got up to 0.8 of a second scampering clear, Tanitsa's responded to that, and he is very much within DRS range. Right, Opmeer predicting entertainment, providing us with some. Jarno Opmeer up to the second, up to third place, looking for a second podium in a row. And Jarno Opmeer finds his way past Fabrizio Donoso. Opmeer now beginning to go on the charge.
Lead defending from Rasmussen as well in the background. You can see Rasmussen pretty much pushing the Mercedes round these few corners.
Well, Rasmussen thought the race had been thrown away, but he's got that tyre advantage. That's the good news. Bad news is Lee, Donoso, Opmeer, Tanitsa and Longuet ahead.
Here comes Freddie Rasmussen, very close indeed to Brendan Lee. Surely this is the best opportunity he's had.
This is the driver with DRS ahead, so this is all being done on the difference of compound. He's going to try and go around the outside. Lee's not going to give that one up, but he's got to give his rival room, and he's not able to get through. That will be a source of enormous frustration to Freddie Rasmussen, because if he cleared Lee there, he would have believed that a podium was on. But Lee fights back, and Freddie Rasmussen stays in 6th.
That's a two-time champ right there, Brendan Lee, just nudging him onto the exit curb. Freddie, you go over there, my friend. I want to take the racing line. It looks like Jarno Opmeer right now. Oh, here we go for the lead.
For the race lead, Tanitsa's side by side. Scrap that, he's ahead. David Tanitsa waits to lap 17 of 19. Tanitsa did have more in the tank, and now he goes on the charge. Tanitsa takes the lead away from the Renault driver, and Tanitsa's looking to get up and running for esports in 2020. He doesn't look happy at the moment, but if he can stay in that position, he will be. Longuet caught unawares. That came from nowhere. It didn't look likely, and before you knew it, he was by.
Yeah, where did that come from? David Tanitsa's like, thank you, I'll take the head of the field now, but Longuet still very much in contention here. He hasn't lost the pace, he's lost the first position at the moment, but I'm sure Longuet will want to come back at him as we start lap 18, the penultimate lap.
And in third position, Jarno Opmeer just saying, you know what? You keep fighting, guys, because it plays him into contention as well. Similar tyres at the front. Still, Freddie Rasmussen has the tyre advantage, but can't use it on Brendan Lee, who defended brilliantly there under pressure, you have to say. And his reward looks to be 5th position for the time being. But we haven't had a safety car. They really are that close. It is an incredibly tight championship. It's a tight battle. Can Longuet do what Tanitsa has done to him and fight back late on? Do you want the race lead at this stage of the race? Tactically, is Longuet in the right position? Your answer is coming up in a few moments' time. Longuet started in 5th because of the penalty, had the pace for pole, had it taken away from him, wants to fight back to the race lead. He's got DRS, and now Nicolas Longuet retakes the position, but he's done so to give an opportunity to Tanitsa on that last lap. It's the race lead. Can he stay there? We've not got long to wait to find out.
Longuet will need the first half of the lap of dreams to hold on to this race lead going into the final lap. But here, it's so difficult to tell here. I think Tanitsa might have it if he can get a good run down that long straight. We've already seen overtakes in the last 2 laps. What's Jarno Opmeer going to do? He predicted carnage. Is he going to stick a nose in down the inside of Tanitsa? It's all to play for in this last lap and a half.
How are your nerves, Nicolas Longuet? We're about to find out. He's got over the line now to start the 19th and final tour around Vietnam. The first race we have seen around the streets of Hanoi. He's got track position, but he knows that David Tonitza is going to launch an attack here. He came from nowhere a couple of laps ago, and now Longuet tries to break clear. Tonitza tries to stay in the wheel tracks. He will definitely have DRS, but will he be able to use it?
Longuet has a strong first sector, but, well, Tonitza's still very much in fighting contention. He's not going to overtake yet. He's just going to bide his time, stay as close as he possibly can to that Renault Diffuser, and then he's going to mount his challenge for the victory.
This is going to be the defining moment of the race. Your exit here. How close you can get. Can you build the slipstream? There's no advantage with the strategy. This has just been a real contest between the two of them. Longuet versus Tonitza, and now with the DRS, Tonitza trying to take the lead on the last lap, and he's pulling ahead. He's got the job done. David Tonitza brilliantly takes the lead, but has he overcooked it? They're side by side out of the corner. Who's going to get the win here? It's being debated brilliantly between these two. Tonitza's got the inside line, and they're so close to contact. It's absolutely thrilling stuff, but Tonitza's finally edged ahead, and there's no real overtaking opportunity at this thrilling final part of the racetrack. What a battle between Longuet and the man in the lead as we come to the end of the 19th and final lap. David Tonitza had a nightmare in Bahrain. It has been a dream performance here. He has the penultimate corner of the racetrack to go. Surely one of his most satisfying victories. David Tonitza wins on the streets of Hanoi. What a performance for him. He's won the second race of the year. He's denied Nicolas Longuet, and that was absolutely brilliant.
Truly breathtaking, that race. I'll get Natalie's thoughts on that in just a second. But as you can see, David Tonitza winning and getting back to a bit of that championship form that we saw in 2019. Nicolas Longuet proving why Red Bull may have made a mistake to let him go. Jarno Opmeer, another podium finish for him in third. Brendan Lee getting back to some form, now finishing in fourth in that second race in Hanoi. Fredrik Rasmussen proving maybe he is actually the #1 at Red Bull, taking the 5th place over Marcel Kiefer in 6th. And Daniele Haddad, again, another BWT 10th place finish, 2 races in. And as you can see, Danny Berezny, we expected more from him, potentially down in 15th. And again, Haas nowhere near those points. So when we look at the Drivers' Championship, what does that do for the top? Well, as you can see, this man has come out and he has set his intentions very clear for everyone. Jarno Opmeer, 40 points now. Nicolas Longuet in 2nd. David Tonitza in 3rd. Brendan Lee down in 6th. And Freddie Rasmussen, is that a shock and a surprise, in 7th? Well, don't forget, only 2 rounds in. We've got the 3rd one in Shanghai coming up, but there you can see the Teams Championship. That's where the $750,000 prize pool dollars are waiting for one of these teams. And there you can see Haas at the bottom, but Alfa Romeo proving that they had an incredibly strong lineup with Danny Berezny and Jarno Opmeer. But we talked about it yesterday. I'm even out of breath.
I know.
David Tonitza, Longuet, we were speechless in the studio.
It was incredible, wasn't it? Tonitza had a great start to the race, but ultimately where the points count is at the finish. When he saw the checkered flag there, swapping positions, and he knew how much it meant to him. He had a terrible race in Bahrain, and you could see the tension in his face. Remember, before the race, he was getting incredibly nervous. I always thought it sort of took the pressure away being in your own homes, but in some ways it ramps it up, but in a different way.
Yeah.
And Longuet was just magnificent. You know, he's the Daniel Ricciardo of the virtual world. Moving from Red Bull to Renault and getting on that podium.
Yeah, fantastic race action. Nick Hamilton, I know you're at the touchscreen. What did you see?
Another amazing race. What a fantastic final lap there. Couldn't believe it. My jaw was dropped when I was watching that live. But let's have a look at some of the highlights. So this back straight is so key. And you can see Opmeer going from 1st to 3rd in the hairpin, which was detrimental to his race because he really struggled to then get back towards the lead. But he still was within touching distance. Now David Tonitza down the inside using the DRS and getting the job done. But it still had time, or Longuet still had time to come back at him later on in the race. And this is it. Longuet now going down the outside, doing exactly the same in terms of slipstream that Tonitza did to him. And now we go into the final lap of the race. Now, did Tonitza plan this? Did he know he was going to get a good slipstream? And he goes down the outside and then just locks up the left front and gets it stopped in time, leaves a little bit of room for Longe, and they're side by side all the way through this next section. And you will see on the exit here, Longe nearly touches the wall. And wow, what a fantastic move for Tanitsa there. And now coming through the final corner, taking the win. What a drive for him. And a fantastic job for the team. You'll see how happy and relieved he is. What a race. I couldn't believe it. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you very much, Nick. That is the point where he started clapping in the studio. It was that good. 2019 champion David Tanitsa recovered from the disappointment of Bahrain to chalk up his first win of 2020. 2 races and 2 different winners. Will there be a third driver on the top step at Shanghai? Racing gets underway when we return.
Shanghai, ladies and gentlemen. Right on, away we go! And Kvyat's gone into Norris! Oh, this is good racing! He's down the inside, they're wheel to wheel! Awesome job, guys. Thank you so much.
Wake the giant indeed. Welcome back to the F1 Esports Pro Series, where we are moments away from our third race of the event in Shanghai. And Natalie, it is a circuit that provides such, I'm going to use the word because we've said it so much, excitement, but it really does. Thrills and spills.
China is a fascinating place to go to. It is vast. The grandstand alone, the main grandstand, takes 30,000 fans, obviously not this year. It's on reclaimed swampland, so it's kind of like a floating platform. But it's probably one of the trickiest combination of corners on the calendar. Turns 1 and 2, fast, ever tightening, probably one of the hardest combinations to get right as a racer. And then, of course, you have got that long hairpin, and it does force racers, or encourages them at least, to put lunges down into that hairpin. It's a great track. You see a lot of tyre degradation. It's really tough on that front left tyre, and there's a lot of emphasis on front grip as well, probably the most in the calendar.
OK, so David Tanitsa won it last year in the 2019 Pro Series. And, of course, Danny Berezny, 2 times he's been on pole. Can he make it a third one? We'll find out in a second. But in terms of F1 drivers that have exceeded and got expectations in terms of race wins, any stand out for you?
Well, there is a certain Mr. Hamilton who's won there 6 times, and Michael Schumacher, who, of course, the record he matched at the weekend, took his last F1 win there in 2006. So it's witnessed some incredible moments across the calendar. And I don't know, there's just something very special about the place. I know Matt's a big fan of it, but it does produce a lot of drama, a lot of overtakes, and the G-force in turns 7 and 8 is something that I think the racers love as well. It's got a bit of everything.
Yeah, Matt always mentions how much he loves it. I'm going to do a classic walk and talk now. So listen, qualifying for Shanghai took place earlier on this afternoon, but I just want you to know, if you want to take part in the 2021 F1 Esports Pro Series, then go to f1esports.com to find out all of the details. So here we are then, Nick. We head down to Shanghai. You said it's exciting. you said it's got a little bit of everything. When we look at qualifying, were there any sort of big surprises that stood out for you?
I would say Nicolas Longuet. Yeah, a pretty surprising result for him. I think down in P12, didn't really make Q3. It was a big shame. But Jarno Opmeer, what a fantastic result. What a great lap to put it on pole.
OK, so let's look at qualifying then. Let's have a little recap of it, see what happened earlier on. You mentioned Jarno Opmeer, and of course, Sally Saltonk stepped in, but unfortunately couldn't get past Q1.
Yeah, we spoke to him in the qualifying show, and he was very upset with that performance. So yeah, what a shame for him. And you can see Nicolas Longuet there absolutely bemused by the fact that he is struggling to get into Q3. Mr. Hot Lapper, Jarno Opmeer, doing a great job in Q1 and going P1.
Yeah, and in terms of Q2, some disappointments. We lost 5 drivers. And just in case anyone does not know this, we have the Q1, the Q2, Q3, which is a brand new thing for the F1 Esports Pro Series. And it really does set apart those that can keep it consistent.
Yeah, I keep saying I love it because it's so realistic. It's exactly what we have in the real life F1. It's all about staying consistent, lap to lap, session to session, and you can really see these drivers, some drivers really struggling, and then some drivers really coming to the fore.
Yeah, Donoso yesterday before racing actually was really feeling unwell, but still managed to deliver. And as you can see, Longuet not getting through to Q3, but Haas did actually perform, Simon Weigand and Cedric Tomei. But when we went down to Q3, it really began to hot up with, this is Alvaro Carreton here.
Yeah, I would say the driver of the session for me, Carreton, in P5, doing the job for Williams, and his teammates said he was struggling for setup, but Carreton seemed to get on top of his car, and it was a fantastic result for him.
And we noticed the tactics. Make sure you watch the qualifying show next time before we go live at 7:30, because you really do see the strategy in terms of staying in the pit because of track evolution.
Yeah, they were waiting, weren't they, for so long to get that final lap in and try and maximise the grip available to them in the circuit. So this is Jarno Opmeer coming around the final corner for the last time and going P1. It's an absolutely perfect lap for him and a 1-2 for Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, how dominant are they? They just seem like they're in the groove.
Completely, yeah. I mean, they're still human. They could potentially make some mistakes, but so far, so good for the team.
Yeah, and the way that they've got that strategy to look after each other for that team championship. Jarno Opmeer in first, P1, P2 here as well. Marcel Kiefer, he just keeps on performing. And Natalie said to me earlier on today, she said, you've got a picture like that where you're almost celebrating. You've got to deliver, and he's doing just that. Freddie Rasmussen down in 6th. Good to see Alvaro Carreton taking some form from the Pro Exhibition. Brendan Lee, what can he do? How can he overtake in Shanghai?
Yeah, there or thereabouts always, Brendan Lee, and there's always a big opportunity to overtake in Shanghai, so let's hope he can do that. Yoni Tormala there, P9, he will be happy with that. Lucas Blakely not so happy in P11, and definitely Nicolas Longuet, the man to watch, I would say, going into this race. Simon Weigand did a really good job, I would say, in qualifying, but unfortunately didn't really get his second lap hooked up.
This guy down here, new face to a lot of people, Badia Boromon, stepping in for Bono Huis, is unwell. And that is a driver, he's a driver, Iranian driver, who I'm so excited about, because in the Pro Exhibition during lockdown, he just set some fast paces. Maybe he wasn't ready to get to Shanghai.
Yeah, it's a shock to the system for him. All of a sudden, he's in the hot seat and has to deliver. But not a bad qualifying at all for him. Danny Haddad will be very upset with his performance. But you know what? He will be pushing as hard as possible to try and make amends of it.
OK, well, listen, Brendan Lee had some words of encouragement for Badia Boromon.
I mean, this is my first time ever, like, I'm starting on 16th.
You'll be fine, buddy. You'll finish in the points.
I hope.
Believe it and it will start to happen. If you don't believe it, then it won't happen.
Yep, I agree with you.
Great words there. Perception is projection. If you don't believe it, it's not going to happen. Also, it hasn't been mentioned yet, that is a custom-built seat mould from Brendan Lee. So that's going to help him in some way, doesn't it? Just like real life racing.
Yeah, it's all about staying comfortable. And he's in that seat for a long period of time. And you've got to make sure that every ounce of his body is sitting nice and comfortable. But yeah, it looks absolutely cushy.
Cushy indeed. That's what we like to know about Brendan Lee. He is feeling cushy right now. Listen, Matt Gallagher, Alex Jakes, what's going on? You're so excited about these Chinese Grand Prix.
We certainly are, Tom, because this one should be a cracker. We've already seen 2 great races already this year. Matt Gallagher, what's going to be the key to race number 3?
Well, what we saw in the first 2 races was the different strategies, the fact that you have free tyre choice, soft or mediums usually. So it'll be interesting to see what the drivers, especially the ones at the front, will go towards, whether they go for the medium and then the faster stint towards the end. I'm looking forward to it either way, Alex.
Looking forward to seeing whether Jarno Opmeer can continue this championship form. Will we see a burst through the field? It is going to be very interesting to see whether the poleman is going to be able to fend off this sort of competition like David Tanitsa in the Ferrari entry today. After that sensational win in Vietnam, he will be very, very confident indeed. But as we well know, that non-score in Bahrain leaves him with work to do in the championship. Seems pretty chilled, though, giving us a wave.
Yeah, massive loss for Tanitsa in round 1, but he fought back beautifully in Vietnam to get 25 points on the table. Very much in the mix. He's going to have to hope Enzo Benito brings in some points as well, which they're looking pretty strong, his FDA Hublot Esports team. It's all about both of the drivers performing. Alfa Romeo very much the team to beat and the team setting the precedent, but it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of them... They're actually coming off their phones now, Alex. They look like they're about to go time.
They are getting in the zone. Have you been surprised by how well Opmeer and Beresne, both contenders for the title, have worked together in that Alpha entry?
Look, they know that the money is made through the team's championship, so if the 2 teammates are fighting and they're potentially losing positions from it, that's not going to be the way to do it, and I'm sure the esports managers and the staff within the Alfa Romeo team are making sure that they behave themselves. There's Freddie Rasmussen, who has been a slight bit... I don't want to be horrible, because I always say things that annoy people, but Freddie Rasmussen, by his high standards, it's been a bit of a lacklustre start to the season for him. I'm sure he's watching the show right now. That's what he was looking down for. And there's Danny Beresne, who I still cannot go over the fact that he has a karaoke microphone as a way of communicating, but that's Danny Beresne all over. He loves his singing.
Starting from the front row of the grid, will he be working with his teammate? Will he be going against his teammate? Marcel Kiefer is the driver that they have to be aware of. He starts from P3.
Fully stacked fridge as well again. He's loving that product placement. But Marcel Kiefer looking very strong indeed. Since he's been moved from Racing Point to Red Bull, he's really made some huge moves in this F1 Esports Pro Series. There's Nicolas Longuet, who's going to be a little bit disappointed after a pretty sensational first few qualifying sessions. Down in P12, we saw how much Danny Beresne struggled in Vietnam. I expect the same for him as well, but also an alternate strategy could provide him with some strategic opportunities.
Caraton there in your picture. P5, he said his teammate was saying that he wasn't particularly happy with the setup, so I think that P5 really was a super lap. I want to talk to you about turn 16. We heard from Marcel Kiefer, he didn't have enough confidence to cut it enough. He didn't want to risk having that time deleted. How fine are those margins around this circuit?
Oh yeah, you've got to throw it in. But the thing is, the rules and regulations are there, just like in real life Formula 1, where you'll see those shots where the safety car will go wide and tell you exactly where the sensors are. It's the same in the Formula 1 game. It's very strict. You can't cut, you can't extend, but you can cut to a degree in which you know you can get away with it. These drivers are constantly trying to find every thousandth of a second that they can. So Marcel Kiefer clearly just maybe a little bit hesitant on the turn-in, lost a little bit of time, and as we've seen with how close qualifying is, Alex, any sort of mistake or error of judgment can cost you many places on the grid.
It can. You can see the nerves beginning to set in for Enzo Benito there. He is considering what's going to come up. It's going to be 14 laps around a 5.4-kilometre circuit. And there is the driver who, I don't think he was disappointed to get driver of the day yesterday, but he was not happy with that penalty as he came across the line. Donoso there, racing for Renault around Shanghai.
Full hydration mode activated for Fabrizio. He's getting ready for a hard, grueling race. But yeah, I think we might wait to give driver of the day out to a little bit later, because clearly my jinx got activated immediately. A shame that he got that 3-second time penalty. There's Lucas Blakely, who didn't have the greatest of Vietnam races, ending up upside down at one point during the race. race. He'll want to stay on four wheels the right way up for China. And, you know, we've seen in the pro exhibitions, he's got the pace, he's got the mentality as well to hold on when he's in front, but he needs to sort out qualifying.
And looking at Danny Moreno at the back of the grid for the McLaren entry. Just to give you a bit of steer for this one, it was Freddie Rasmussen versus Brendan Lee for victory around this circuit when we had a pro exhibition race around here in support of the virtual Grand Prix that I know you all enjoyed at the start of the year. So that was on the old game. On the new game, we've had a few other contenders come in. These are the drivers who have a little bit more work to do. Cedric Tomé, part of that Haas entry, and unsurprisingly, with a little bit of a wait right now, he's on his phone, seeing what's going on there, and he will be into race mode in a few moments' time.
Don't text and drive, kids. He's definitely not driving at the moment, because I can assure you that wheel would be moving. But Cedric Tomé, I think he made it into to Q2 for this time round for the Chinese Grand Prix. So a little bit more of an improvement compared to his first session of runs in qualifying. Looking very happy, joyful, ready for a race that's about to unfold around the Shanghai International Circuit. There's Manuel Biancalila, who is also on his phone. Shock.
Oh, always the way. So this is the third of 12 races that we have this year in the F1 Esports Pro Series Championship. Johnny Tormala just chilling at the moment, ready for the go-ahead as he tries to once again. He was a contender, wasn't he, for victory in Bahrain? It didn't go his way. One thing we have seen in the first couple of races, that you can try the overcut, you can try the undercut, you can try an extreme strategy, but in the end, it is possible to overtake. These are all identical cars, and that track position was not king in the first two races of the year. The aggressive strategy not always working out.
Absolutely not, but you've got to try something different when there's so many drivers on such similar pace, and it was good from Tormala. You know, he had a great first lap, and he decided, right, okay, I'm going to go long on the mediums, get track position, and then hopefully hold on. And I'm sure he'll be quite happy with this Bahrain performance anyway. There he is once again. And I think that's the key thing. You know, we saw Danny Berezny with an extremely risky strategy around Vietnam, but he had to try and make positions up. But if you try it too hard and you try and go too long on the softs, it's too difficult to make work.
Let's check in with the driver you can see on your screen at the moment, Tormala.
I don't know, like, when I see myself in the broadcast, I look so calm, but inside I'm like a complete mess.
How good is that? He's watching himself on the screen, and good to know that, like, on the outside, calm, relaxed. On the inside, he's feeling the nerves because so much practice has gone in to perfecting this circuit of 5.4 kilometers long, and in a few moments' time, it's 14 laps around the circuit. We are building up to the third race of the year, and we will be getting underway very soon indeed. In fact, here are the 5 red lights in Shanghai. They go out very quickly indeed, and we are underway for the third race of the year with a brilliant getaway from Danny Berezny up into the lead. Marcel Kieffer has gone up to second. Otmir drops down to third position. Tanitsa hanging on to fourth right now, with Rasmussen in fifth as they all make their way round the first two turns of this third race of the championship. But Danny Berezny, way back in comparison to his teammate in the championship, needed a dream start. He's got a dream start as they head to the hairpin.
Otmir went for the medium compound of tyres, clearly trying to keep track position at the start of this race, but he's already fallen down to fourth place as everyone around him has gone for the aggressive soft tyre strategy. Is that Freddie Rasmussen trying it around the outside? I was getting very excited indeed. A little bit deep into the next corner, but maintains P5. But Otmir, not a good start for him. He would have at least wanted to stay with Berezny to make it work with the two Alphas.
Once again, we're seeing a difference in tyre strategy as we see Longuet all over the road in the background. He is racing his teammate right now. He's actually lost a position. The driver who's been so competitive in the first two races of the year, losing a position at the start as we check in with the predicted pit stop strategy there. And you can see the two options depending on what your starting tyre was, making moves in the background. Freddie Rasmussen moving up to fourth position. He's got the move done. Is it going to be a late lunge right now? The medium tyre is not the one to be on for Jarno Otmir.
Bit of a pinch there for Enzo Benito, trying to follow Freddie Rasmussen through there, but Enzo looking very strong in that second Ferrari at the moment, pushing on in P6. Look, Joni Tormler that we just heard was not feeling particularly confident in going into any race, it sounds like, but still, he's running pretty strongly in 7th at the moment. But there's the reigning champion, P3, David Tunitsa, in the mix, just like we saw last year. Obviously, Bahrain, he can just try and forget. It's already happened now, but Tunitsa starting to continue that trend that he had from last year, always in the hunt.
And he sits there very competitive at the moment, as you would expect. Lap 2 of 20. The FDA Academy, the FDA team then for the esports drivers. Enzo Benito has not got a good launch off the corner. Oh, he's coming very, very close to contact. And then around the outside, Joni Tormler, a super move to get up to 6th position.
So Enzo Benito falling back a little bit now, might be having some issues there as he's now lost a position to Lucas Blakely as well. So the jinx has happened for me once again. I need to stop talking about drivers, but either way, Enzo down to 8th, now coming under pressure now from Alvaro Carreton. So Enzo having all sorts of issues at the moment.
Meanwhile, out front, Berezne, Kiefer, Rasmussen, then Otmir, Tormler, and Tunitsa heading backwards with those technical issues for the time being. Good getaway and positions gained for Lucas Blakely in 7th position. Carreton, then Lee and Boromund, who has made up a hatful of places at the start. They're up to 9th.
It's both of the FDA Hublot Esports team.
Yeah.
They're both falling back. Tunitsa and Benito. This is a horror show for the Chinese Grand Prix for these guys.
Not what they needed at all. With technical problems, we believe, at the moment. It's that 3. It's Berezne not out of DRS zone right now. So Berezne, Kiefer, Rasmussen, then Otmir and Tormler up to P5, putting pressure on that soft rubber that he has got at his AlphaTauri's disposal, up against the medium shod Otmir ahead, who has faded in the early stages. He'll hope that he's made the right call for later in the race, but right now it's not the right tyre to be on, and he is being caught as Blakely tries to make pace as well. And you can see Tunitsa now down in 11th, Benito now down to 19th. Less than a second for the lead though on lap number 3.
How about Barry Buramon? Brendan Lee told him before the race, have faith, you can get some points, my friend. Starting P16, already up to P8. Very much in the shout for some points here in this race. And, well, he can start to push on. He's got Brendan Lee in P9, right behind him as his rear gunner, although I'm sure Brendan won't like me calling him that in this race. But either way, both the Mercedes guys looking particularly strong. They can look to try and push on to the star of qualifying, Alvaro Carreton, as we see Joni Tormler. Otmir doesn't have DRS to defend.
Nothing he can do. Joni Tormler gaining another position, up to 4th place now. And the difference in tyre compounds being felt as the Finn gets up to 4th position. Said he was pretty stressed before the start, but this is a strong run right now. There's a bit of a gap between P4 and P3, and Freddie Rasmussen has come into the pits. So Freddie Rasmussen decides to go very early indeed right now on lap 4 of the race.
Very aggressive from Rasmussen. We've got Biancalila and Haddad in the pits as well. This is what I'm talking about. Don't just go with the flow and follow everybody else into the pits. You have to do something a little bit different to get track position. You might be hurting towards the end of the race though. But I wonder if Otmir is going to be kicking himself with this strategy, starting on the mediums. Surely just a soft runner for both Berezne and Otmir, and they can just control the race at the front. But instead, we've seen it in Bahrain, we have seen Otmir. He was 5th on the grid, used the alternate strategy, used the softs at the end, and he ended up winning the race. So I'm sure I'll end up eating my words with the fact that I'm saying that Otmir's regretting his strategy. But either way, those mediums looking like they're really struggling at the start of this race.
Interesting contrast between the 2 Red Bulls at the head of the field, and they decided to go with the same tyre. The Alfa Romeo is deciding to split the strategy, and as a result, we've got a rather unusual race in the mix here, with most going on that soft rubber, and then the medium tyre. Well, the race might come back to Jarno Otmir, but it's not working out at the moment for the pole sitter. Instead, it's Kiefer getting closer and closer with the use of DRS as they go to the hardest braking point on the circuit, turn 14. Little bit of a lock-up for the race leader, but Danny Berezne, who had that non-score and has to respond right now, will do another lap, and Kiefer has decided to do the opposite to his rival and try and get the undercut. Crucial moments in deciding who's going to win this one.
Berezne not phased at all by the Red Bull strategy, carrying on, sticking with whatever he's decided with the Alfa Romeo team. Jarno Otmir now promoted to 2nd with these pit stops. So you would imagine that both the Red Bulls are going to be leading this race, but the Alfa Romeos are going to have the tyre advantage. This is incredibly intriguing. Let's see how far ahead Rasmussen will come out ahead of Kiefer as we go into turn 1. Where is Marcel Kiefer in all of this? He is ahead, in fact.
He's out of the pits, and Kiefer gets track position over Rasmussen. So Rasmussen had the use of those fresh tyres earlier on, but Kiefer comes out ahead of his teammate, not by much though, and it will be a case of getting them into the right temperature window. As you can see, the two Red Bulls right now fighting their way to the front. We're expecting a pit stop for Danny Berezne within the next couple of laps. But remember, every lap that you go longer is a lap that you get paid back later on in the 20.
Yeah, big moment for these two Red Bull drivers. They need to work together, they need to pull each other along to get as much an advantage as they possibly can over Danny Berezne in particular, because that's who they're fighting on the same strategy. Later on, Jarno Opmeer is going to become an issue, especially as he's in clear air at the moment. P2 only 3.5 seconds off his teammate. He's got the faster stint coming later. Jarno is certainly not out of this at all. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a very interesting battle between two of the top teams.
Very, very interesting right now. Danny Berezne makes his stop 1 lap later after the driver who was less than a second behind, Marcel Kiefer, who's taken the fight to Freddie Rasmussen with this F1 2020 game. Here comes the race leader then into the pits. Gets rid of the soft tyres, puts on the mediums, and that took a while at least on first sight. Now, does he crucially stay ahead? Going to be oh so tight as they go into turn number 1 and sweeping ahead. That could be for the race lead later on. Marcel Kiefer gets past Danny Berezne with Rasmussen trying to chase down right now, but that is crucial stuff. And Kiefer using the undercut brilliantly there and getting ahead.
Absolutely crucial for the Red Bull team, because now they can just start to shape this race the way they want. They've got Kiefer as a stopgap in case Danny Berezne wants to try and eke out an advantage. You've got Rasmussen right behind. So this is not really where Berezne wants to be, but at the same time, he'll have Opmeer coming at a right rate of knots towards the end of this race. You've only got Carroton only 1.5 seconds behind Opmeer out at the front of this race. Brendan Lee as well, still very much in the mix, but the fight for the lead is certainly between the two Red Bulls and the two Alphas.
Jarno Opmeer and Alvaro Carreton separated by 1.5 seconds at the moment. And you can see those are the drivers right now who have stopped on the left-hand side, and plenty still to make their mandatory stop in the race as we make our way through, but it's looking good at the moment for Marcel Kiefer. Kiefer, who has that 1 win to his name, a 6-time podium finisher in the F1 Esports Pro Series, but looking for a first win of the season, having been competitive at the first 2. But Danny Berezne is going to have plenty to say about that, and he's going to have more life in those tyres when we get to the end. The graphic there on the right-hand side expected them to go much further into the race, and this sequence of pit stops started by Freddie Rasmussen pulling the trigger early, and as a result he gained a little bit. He is not too far away from this battle. He's the car behind the driver we're riding on board with at the moment.
Absolutely, I think it is advantage Alfa Romeo still at this stage, because Berezne on the fresher tyres of the 3 in this fight. You'll have Jarno Opmeer on the faster tyres towards the end, so it's looking good at the moment for Berezne and Opmeer to really challenge for another 1-2, which is something that I'm sure they would have taken, or at least just being in the top 4. You know, this is a long season. The fact that they are constantly at the front is something that they will absolutely take. So right now, Opmeer just needs to settle in. He's in the lead at the moment. Carreton, don't count out Carreton as well, as we see a fight here with Danny Moreno and Sally Saltuk. Sally taking place in that Williams Esports team. Oh, a little bit of weaving down towards the hairpin, but Moreno making his way through. I was just saying, Carreton very much not out of a podium shot here, because only 1.6 seconds behind Opmeer on the same strategy. I've likened it yesterday as well. It's very much like Formula 2, and I love it.
Of course you do. If it's like Formula 2, that's exactly what we'd expect, Matt.
The strategies are intriguing.
Certainly are at the moment. To give you a read on Alvaro Caraton, a couple of podiums in the exhibition races that we had earlier in the year. One of those podiums coming right here in Shanghai. Barry Boromont has got a 3-second time penalty for multiple violations of track limits. Plenty of places around here in which you can trigger the stewards in that regard. There is his teammate right now, the driver that we are following, Brendan Lee. And you can see at the focus the intensity behind the wheel. He's going with this battle as well. Caraton trying to chase down Otmir, Lee trying to put pressure on the pair of them at the moment. And I mentioned that pro exhibition race earlier in the year, the winner around Shanghai earlier in 2020. This man now in the F1 Esports Pro Series, can he take the victory when it really matters? You're looking at the top 3 on what we would consider the alternate strategy as we work a lap 8 of 20.
I love watching this. I love watching Brendan Lee down in the bottom left. His screen is so wide, he has to turn his head to see some of the information. And here we go. He's going to try and move around the outside at Caraton here. Caraton defends beautifully into the hairpin. Nothing doing right now for Lee.
Yeah, trying the up and under, but it's not really a corner that allows you to do that. Let's see what exit he's got here. You're not allowed to go too wide past the AstroTurf, but he's in a great position now as we go down the main straight, past the grandstands. Can he swoop around the outside? Not if Caraton has anything to do about it. Little bit of contact there. Is Caraton going to keep it pointing in the right direction? Just about. He'll be relieved, and so will Brendan Lee, because that would have been a slam dunk penalty if it had been a full spin for the Williams driver ahead.
Drifting masterclass from Caraton there around turn 1. Definitely not the fastest way around. They lost about 7/10 of a second to Otmir out in front. It's up to 2.4 seconds now, the gap. Brendan Lee looking very feisty, very quick indeed, but doesn't want to be doing things like that will cost him a potential fight for a podium later on. But at the same time, he has to clear Caraton. It looks like his race pace much better at the moment on these mediums. Be continuing on for quite a few laps longer by the indication from the soft runners at the start of this race, pitting lap 3, 4, 5. So they still have a little way to go, Alex, before they dive into the pits.
Yeah, just to give you an idea of the relative performance right now, the drivers at the front yet to make their stop, circulating about 1 second a lap slower than those who have come in and changed tyres. So there's a definite pace advantage further down the field, but they've got to make sure that they stay within the pit stop window. Right now, in the wheel tracks, you can see how much confidence he's got on the brakes. Almost too much confidence from Brendan Lee, a 2-time champion, but that's the 2nd time in 1 lap that he's made contact with Caraton. You can see how much it's cost the Williams driver and the Mercedes driver, because as long as these two keep fighting, Otmir is checking out front.
Yeah, incredibly frustrated, I reckon Brendan Lee will be with that last lap. He's definitely lost touch with Otmir out in front. As you were mentioning the times, so Otmir 1:33.3.
Yeah, Otmir's responded last time around, so that's interesting to see the difference as we look at the last lap and that error costing Brendan Lee in his battle with Caraton. They're just upping the pace out front now, taking maybe as much as they can from the tyres. Who's going to go aggressive? Who's going to go and pit as early as possible? Could be defining if the alternative strategy is going to work. At worst, these drivers will be hoping they are battling over a podium right now. Remember, the lead driver who has made the stop is Marcel Kiefer, who still has track position, but look at the graphic on the left-hand side there. Danny Beresne with a lap more life in those Pirellis.
16 seconds separate Otmir to Kiefer, which if he was to pit right now, that would be about a 6-second deficit. Otmir would have to catch up. That's going to probably continue to extend before Jarno comes into the pits, but then he is going to be ultra rapid on those fresh, soft tyres. Here is the battle for the net race lead at the moment. Looks like it's pretty much just a stalemate. They're just winding round the laps, ready for, well, I think it was it Jarno Otmir was saying, Vietnam, the carnage in the last few laps. That's what he predicted. And I feel like this is the same thing. We're just winding up for a grand finale when the drivers will really start to think about sending it.
This is your favourite circuit. Was it your favourite circuit because you were quick around him?
Yes.
That is exactly the reason.
Yeah, absolutely loved racing around here.
So what worked for you around this circuit?
No idea. I just felt comfortable. I feel like it's an unsung hero, China. Not many people rant and rave about it as something that is a classic, but there have been many great races in real-life Formula One at China. And I don't know what it is about it. I've just fell in love with it immediately. And I was rather quick, Alex, around here, I have to say. And I was actually #1 in the world for a very brief time on F1 2013, just saying.
5 or 6 minutes.
It was probably half an hour at max. And then I didn't decide to do it ever again because I spent a huge amount of time. I'm talking F1 Esports level amounts of time trying to get that record, and then it was lost, and that was the end of my career. But anyway.
Right, it's gone. The end. Shut it down. Retire.
Much better me talking about it than racing now, I can tell you that.
See, in the wheel tracks right now, Danny Berezne, whose difficult qualifying.
Did you just see that braking?
I mean, late stuff. That cost him a lot of points in the championship. His teammate sets the pace right now with 40 points in the championship. You have to go down to 5th place, where he was on 18 for the first race of the year.
Let's
take a look. Put that right.
Take a look at the screen. Here we go, braking. Let's see Danny braking for this hairpin.
Is it going to be super late once again?
Oh, my goodness me.
He's hauling him in right now.
It's aggression. I love it.
And he is making use of those fresher tyres.
Brendan Lee pits.
So Brendan Lee comes into the pits, couldn't make that move that he was trying to. Had the momentum, couldn't do anything with it, couldn't move up past Carreton. Still Otmar and Carreton, surely they're going to have to respond to this undercut attempt from the Mercedes driver. It'll be interesting to see whether they do. And those are the drivers now. If you're going to make your mandatory stop, you're going to be on the medium tyre, you are going to the soft, and you are going on the attack.
Yes, early it's aggressive from Brendan Lee, but unfortunately he's filtering back in 16th position on those soft tyres. You've got to pray, especially with a couple of incidents with Carreton, that he didn't nip a front wing as well, which would have caused a front wing change. But either way, he is not where he wants to be right now. And you'd imagine he was probably closer to Biancalila had he not been caught up in those fights. But hopefully he'll be able to clear, but Biancalila will be closer to Donoso, sorry. But Danny Berezne, it does seem like he's just biding his time at the moment. He knows he has the advantage. He knows that he can make the move towards the end of this race. But I'm so intrigued to see where Otmar is going to filter out into all of this. It's going to be an intriguing battle in the last few laps.
There's Tomé right now on the medium tyres, yet to make the stop. And checking in with the Haas driver, currently in 4th position, but with that stop to come, it's going to drop him further down the order. He's in a McLaren sandwich right now with Baldwin ahead and Moreno behind. At least he was. He's coming into the pits.
Here he comes then. So Tomé having a reasonably strong race, it has to be said. He was 6 or so seconds off Otmar as he dives into the pits. Quite aggressive, it has to be said, from Brendan Lee, especially pitting on lap 12. He is going to be hurting towards the end of this race. How close is Danny Berezne getting into turn 1?
Is he thinking about the lunge into the first corner of the racetrack? He knows that he has the fresher tyres. How much has he used sitting in the wheel tracks? Earlier on today, speaking to the drivers, we heard that the dirty air is a little bit worse in F1 2020 than it was in F1 2019. Drivers have got to take that into account with tyre wear, and all the while, any mistake in a battle between Kiefer and Berezne would be punished by Freddie Rasmussen, who is sitting there and part of this train, part of this battle for the lead. And that looks like the aftermath of some contact between Boromund and Donoso, who are close to it once again. This time as they work the middle of the lap, and looks like they came together at the hairpin.
Yeah, Boromund did not look happy rejoining there, giving Donoso another little squeeze. So those two have come together. They have yet... well, they're on, what, 6-7 lap-old mediums at the moment, so just fighting outside of the points at the moment. Donoso not looking like he's gesticulating or anything, not wagging a finger like Brendan Lee did to him in Season 1.
So Donoso right now back into the slipstream as we go back to what is currently the battle for 6th position. But it will be the battle for the lead, a 3-car battle for the lead. If anything, Freddie Rasmussen's had a mega lap here to close up. As into the pits comes Jarno Otmar to get rid of those tyres, to put on the softs. And you can see that he is losing positions. He's going to have to try and claim all of this time back in the few laps that we have remaining. We know there is a difference between these tyre compounds. If you started off the line on the mediums, there was a good example with Otmir to show you the difference between those compounds. These are going to be old mediums against fresh softs. It'd be interesting to see how close Otmir can get. Moreno still yet to make the stop. When Moreno finally comes into the pits, it's going to be Kiefer, Beresnay and Rasmussen contending for the win.
This is going to have to be a stint of dreams from Otmir. This is a huge amount of time that needs to be made up in only 6 laps, and he's going to have to clear Blakely and Tormula before he can join the fight for the victory between Kiefer, Beresnay and Rasmussen. So right now, advantage Red Bull, it has to be said, but Jarno, his pace is going to be something I'm going to keep an eye on extremely closely.
It's about 7 seconds right now between Marcel Kiefer and Jarno Otmir.
But Otmir's already set the fastest middle sector of anybody, 8/10 quicker than Moreno out in front, and 8/10 crucially quicker than Beresnay, Kiefer and Rasmussen, so it's game on.
Fantastic stuff. Yellow flag in Sector 3 right now. That has cleared. So the drivers on the old mediums are going to be in the right position here. Is Moreno going to go for another lap? No. Moreno will finally pit in the McLaren to promote this to now being the battle for the lead. Kiefer, Beresnay and Rasmussen, but what pace are we going to see from Jarno Otmir? He is the danger man right now, setting electric lap times on that soft rubber. If he can carry on at the pace that he's had initially, you cannot count him out right now. And the one thing these three look like they're going to do, but they can't afford to do too much of, is battle wheel to wheel.
Absolutely. The Red Bull guys will know that exactly. What's Beresnay going to do in all of this? Is he just biding his time, or can he not find a way through on Kiefer? Is he waiting for his partner in crime, Otmir, to just stroll into this fight on the fresh tyres and go, look, right, I'll come with you, Jarno, but you're going to have to do the dirty work first? Either way, this is going to be fascinating to watch. 4.7 seconds now, the gap between Kiefer and Otmir. But remember, there are a few moves to make, and Otmir's already on the back of Tormula for P5.
Now, where Otmir catches the cars is going to be so important. If you catch them with an opportunity to make the move here, well, you might have an opportunity, but can you clear cars, maybe one, maybe two, on this back straight? This is absolutely crucial. If Jarno Otmir is going to have a chance to win this one, he's already passed the AlphaTauri before he's even got out of the corner. So the next target then is Lucas Blakely with DRS. He's honing in on the racing point ahead. Tormula in the rearview mirror now as they go down to the braking zone. He's not quite close enough, and so he's in 5th at the moment. Can he get past Blakely down into turn 1? Because if he can, he's going to have a great opportunity, because it's clear air ahead of Blakely, who's putting a strong drive together, you have to say, but he went to the traditional strategy. The alternate strategy is going alongside, pulling ahead and taking P4. Otmir is on the charge.
Oh, that driver cam, you could just see he is a man possessed. He wants nothing more than another P1 to his name, and who could take it away from him right now? He is flying out there. He's made 2 overtakes, and he is still a 1.5 seconds quicker than Marcel Kiefer out in front.
Made one on the back straight, made the other one down the pit straight. If you catch a car in this part of the lap, that's where it really hurts your tyre advantage, because it will have to be very, very audacious indeed to get past in this part of the lap. Where he catches the cars is going to be so important. 3 cars between him and another sensational victory. He's been on the podium in both races that we've run so far this year. 3rd in Vietnam. He was the winner of the opening contest of the season. He is the championship leader, and he's got that gap down, Matt, to 1.7 seconds.
It's damage limitation for the Red Bull drivers now. Rasmussen needs to get onto the back of Beresnay, and he might actually be a little bit closer than he has been. Rasmussen needs to get past Beresnay, so then the 2 Red Bull drivers can work together to try and somehow hold off the charging Jarno Otmir. But right now, Beresnay is in a decent position where he can just let Rasmussen fall into the clutches of Otmir. Oh, this is going to be so intriguing. Right now, Red Bull will take a 1-3. I don't think they're going to end with one.
Very, very interesting to see which way this one is going to go. Kiefer, Berezne, Rasmussen, we are running out of time. Otmir has the pace. Will he be able to get past all three? Will Rasmussen have to play the team game with the tyres that, from that graphic on the left-hand side, would indicate that he doesn't have the ability to go forward? Will he help defend his teammate in the lead? We saw team tactics from Alfa Romeo yesterday. Will it be from Red Bull today? That's the main question ahead of us at the moment, as Otmir bears down to nearly make this a 4-car battle for P1 around this circuit, Shanghai International, which they have spent so many hours practicing on. We've seen brilliant qualifying laps. We saw a superb lap from Berezne, just beaten by his teammate, though the top four were separated by less than 1/10 of a second. And now it's the soft shop runner of Jarno Otmir, who started in first, tumbled down early on because of the tyre disadvantage. This is where he gets paid back. Rasmussen is not going to be able to fight back here. He's going to have to use all of the DRS, and he knows now is the time to go on the attack. All the 2 cars ahead have the DRS, and as a result, Otmir is not able to use that tyre advantage for the time being. Might have to get inventive there. The top 4 separated by hardly anything as we go on to the 18th lap of the race.
What a race we've got in store for the last few laps of this Chinese Grand Prix. It looked like Otmir had just run out of energy a little bit going down that straight, just settling in. He doesn't have to rush this in some ways, but also he's only got a few laps to go. But right now he has to judge his moves perfectly. Rasmussen's not going to make it easy for him. You can see the grip advantage that Otmir has. He's pushing him round this first sector, Alex.
He's nudging him ahead. Get out of the way! I want to go and contend for victory. He will be shouting right now. And he's forced Rasmussen to go defensive, trying to go around the outside. That's brilliant car positioning because he'll have the traction.
Oh.
And he's got P3. What a move, Jarno Otmir. It lines him up for a chance now. It lines up the victory opportunity. Will Alfa get Berezne out of the way so Otmir can try and take his 2nd win of the year? And all the while this is going on, Carreton has managed to clear Tormala and Blakely and get up to P5.
Yeah, Berezne's got to move out the way for Otmir here. If they want any chance of a 1-2, Berezne will probably let him go. And don't discount Alvaro Carreton right now. P5, also on the soft tyres. Freddie Rasmussen is going to come under pressure from the Williams driver as well.
So is it going to be a move for P2? It certainly looks that way at the moment. Berezne was overtaken late on in Bahrain. Will he play the team game? Will he shut the door? Let's find out as we go into the braking zone. Jarno Otmir is going to get ahead. Rasmussen is about to go side by side with Berezne. No, not quite at the moment. Otmir has cleared 2 of them. The next one would give him a 2nd win of the year.
Carreton sniffing a podium as well, 1.3 seconds behind Rasmussen. If Berezne and Rasmussen start fighting, that's going to open the door even more for the Williams driver. It's 2.5 of a second onto the penultimate lap. The fight for the victory is on.
Well, it's all about the exit now. Coming out of this corner as they go through the easy flat ahead. They're looking at, they are looking at turn number 6 at the moment, but that one's been defended. But Otmir will know that he's got an opportunity into the hairpin, into turn 14, where he should have the superior traction. Marcel Kiefer will not want to give this one up, though. He will be desperately, desperately looking in his mirrors. And can he keep him behind? Otmir has hauled these drivers in. He's got the tyre compound advantage. Catching is one thing, passing is another, but this is the part of the racetrack where it is oh so important to get the exit right. Lock up ahead tells you how much pressure Kiefer is on, and now looking for another victory. Otmir, it looks good at the moment. The DRS is going to go wide open. Can Kiefer fight back? Will it be a late defensive move? This is for the race win in China. Otmir is going ahead, taking the lead. And on the penultimate lap of the race, Jarno Otmir makes the strategy work absolutely brilliantly and takes the lead after a charging drive through the field. There was nothing Kiefer could do, and Jarno Otmir looks set for his 2nd win of the year.
Otmir takes the lead, beautiful race from him, but Carreton has just joined this queue, and he is right on the back of Rasmussen going towards turn 1.
Jarno Otmir, brilliant laps on that medium tyre. That is when you use the alternative strategy where all the
side by side!
That is a late move. That is so close in the background there and getting the move done. That is so tight indeed. Otmir, Kiefer, Berezne, and there is Carrington with the late lunge to the inside. Did Carrington make it work in the Williams? Oh, he's going to have the traction advantage surely compared to those old mediums. And yes, moving up to 4th place, Alvaro Carrington on this alternate strategy up to 4th.
Carrington's going to have a good opportunity on Berezne as well down this final straight. He's going to have more grip. He can brake later. He can get on the power earlier. Right now, Otmir has broken the DRS to Kiefer, so it looks like he's home and dry at the moment, but the fight for P3 is not over just yet.
Jarno Otmir is checking out front. Kiefer hanging on for another strong result. This year he has looked, if anything, the lead Red Bull driver. He has seriously upped his game. Carrington is close, but is he going to be close enough to Berezne, who's seen his teammate go past him once again? We've got just a few corners to go. It's been another thriller. It's been another attacking drive. It's been another masterclass for Jarno Otmir, who comes round the last corner on the last lap to take another exceptional win. Jarno Otmir wins in China. That was brilliant stuff. And he beats Marcel Kiefer and his teammate Danny Berezne. Magnificent stuff, Jarno Otmir. His 2nd win of the season, his 3rd in F1 Esports. Masterclass.
Oh, we can scrap the hot lapper nickname that he's got. He's got everything. He's got the racecraft. He absolutely smashed it. And my Aramco driver of the day is Jarno Otmir because, well, I mean, what a race. He made the medium-soft strategy work. I thought it was a bit questionable at the start. He lost a few positions, but he knew what he wanted to do.
Well, brilliant stuff. There's your race order. A super drive and a 2nd win of the season for that man there, Jarno Otmir.
Just incredible. We're watching on a monitor here. It felt like I was there in the moment, watching Otmir deliver like that. You're sort of willing him on in some respect and hoping his teammate Danny Berezne would let him by, but he didn't have a choice, did he, really, Natalie?
Absolutely. I mean, he made that strategy work to perfection, obviously dropping down to 4th with that tyre disadvantage at the beginning, but pulling back through with a softer compound, the fresher tyres. Yeah, he played it to perfection. And to go the win in Bahrain, another podium in Hanoi, and now another win in China. I mean, what a start to the season for him and for Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, now listen, the game reported both Ferraris drivers left the session. There's an ongoing investigation in that, and I don't want that to take anything away from how dominant the Alfa Romeos were. And Rasmussen as well. He was on the mediums, but Otmir had that tactical change with the soft tyres.
Yeah, did you see the move that he pulled out as well? Down the outside into turn 3, turn 4. Unbelievable, got it done. What a calculated drive from Otmir. I was actually sitting on the floor here.
That's all,
and it was incredible, yeah, great job. And yeah, so upsetting for Ferrari there and seeing them guys, drop back with their technical issues.
Yeah, so listen, we'll find out more details on that. Let's look at the fastest lap by DHL. Yesterday was Tanitsa in Bahrain, then we had Lucas Blakely. It is Nicolas Longuet, so obviously crash and incident earlier on, but just proving, although not a podium finish, not in the top 10, but just the race pace is there, so don't write off Renault.
Yeah, a shame for him today, having that front wing damage. As you say, he doesn't take the point because he doesn't finish inside the top 10. But again, it shows his commitment, it shows his passion, it shows his race pace, It gives him reason to be positive on what is an otherwise difficult day.
Yeah, and I mentioned it in the qualifying show, Nick, with Matt Gallagher, which is brilliant to sort of get ourselves excited about the race ahead. I mentioned Haas, no points. Cedric Tomei, thank you very much. First points for Haas, and it gives all of the teams an opportunity to build on this, doesn't it, from these 3 events?
Yeah, Cedric Tomei will be so happy with his result. Haas as a team, to get their first point on the board, they can start moving from there, they can start improving from there and really learning, how can they make this more of a regular thing?
Yeah, now the Red
in the real world, couldn't they?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. The Red Bull team, led by Rasmussen and Marcel Kiefer, who joined the team. Marcel seems to be edging as the #1 driver. I know it's just, we've had 3 rounds, but Marcel Kiefer been very dominant and performing very well.
It's about making that statement of intent this early in the season. And, you know, don't forget that the only person that you really mark yourself up against is your teammate. I always find the expression teammate quite a contradiction because they're the one you really want to beat. Although we have seen some great teamwork already this season, particularly from Alfa Romeo. But yeah, he's driving incredibly well. He's very composed. He seems very natural at the moment, doesn't he? He seems to be really enjoying his racing.
Yes, and a truly stacked fridge. Let's have a look at the provisional results then, as we have completed Bahrain now, Hanoi and Shanghai. So these are just the race result. Jarno Opmeer, 25 points, his second win of the season. That move from Renault to Alfa Romeo is looking very good. And Alfa Romeo as a team in the team championship, always the last 2 seasons they finished third, and they will be gunning for that #1 spot. But as you can see, there is no 2-time champion. He's all the way down in 17th. I feel bad in some ways to always highlight him, but Brendan Lee there down at the bottom, and then, as we know, investigation going on with the Ferraris. What have we learnt from this then, in a bullet point?
We've learnt that there's going to be more drama to come in the next event. I can't wait to get to the Netherlands.
Okay, yes, Zandvoort, Canada as well. Out of those, Austria, Zandvoort, Canada, which are you most looking forward to, Nick?
Canada is always a close one. You've got the Wall of Champions there at Canada. Anything can happen. But yeah, super excited for all of the rounds coming up.
Perfect. Listen, event 2 kicks off in 3 weeks' time. 3 more live races to bring you, like we've just mentioned. Zandvoort, we've got Canada on the 4th of November. And don't forget, you can see live qualifying with Matt Gallagher across both days before we wrap up the weekend, before live racing in the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Thank you very much to Natalie, to Nick, to Alex, to Matt for this evening, and to you, most of all, for joining us from home. We look forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to the F1 Esports Pro Series 2020.
Opmeer in the box seat.
What a start for the Alfa Romeo drivers.
Brilliant race victory for Jarno Opmeer. We are underway for the second race of the year. To the inside and up to second place goes Nicolas Longuet. Tanitsa takes the lead. David Tanitsa wins on the streets of Hanoi. Brilliant getaway from Danny Berezne up into the lead. Tourmiller gaining another position. Little bit of contact there.
Joe, thank you very much. Where will F1's finest